Eve wakes up in a tunnel, feeling nauseous and disoriented. She looks around in confusion before noticing a bracelet on her wrist, having no idea what's going on. As she scans her surroundings, she sees the bodies of dead soldiers and starts crawling in another direction. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers arrives at the facility in a helicopter to rescue the scientific team. Their commander shows them pictures of prisoners who might be inside and orders them to kill them on sight. Back in the facility's air duct, a terrified scientist named John frantically looks around and spots the same dead soldiers. He grabs a gun from one of them and is about to move forward when he hears a noise behind him. As he turns, he comes face to face with a monstrous creature and gets attacked. The soldiers enter the facility, while Eve and another prisoner hide in the ducts. They watch as the soldiers scan the area and shoot an inmate on sight. Both try to stay silent, but one of the soldiers notices them and opens fire, instantly killing the other prisoner as Eve watches in horror. She crawls backward just as a soldier peeks inside but manages to escape into an open space. Hearing noises, she assumes it's the soldiers and quickly crawls away. Meanwhile, for soldiers, Romeo, Wiki, 4-Pack, and Kid are also in the ducts. Sensing someone nearby, they follow the signal and reach the place where John and the others were killed. Seeing the gruesome condition of the bodies, they become alert. Their tracker picks up another signal, leading them to Eve, who is sitting in a corner. As Romeo approaches her, Eve looks at him, triggering flashbacks of the past, revealing they were once a couple. Shocked, Romeo can't believe his eyes, assuming Eve was dead. He tries to talk to her, but she doesn't remember anything. The others prepare to kill her, but Romeo stops them, leading to an argument. Suddenly, Kid detects another signal approaching. As it gets closer, he spots a massive creature. The team quickly escapes using a rope and throws explosives at the monster. Unfortunately, Kid falls back, landing in front of the creature with no way out. With no choice left, he urges Romeo to detonate the explosives. Romeo hesitates but ultimately obliges, killing both Kid and the creature. Devastated, Wiki loses her composure and blames everything on Eve, pointing a gun at her. Instinctively, Eve grabs Romeo's gun and aims back, moving like a trained soldier. This makes Romeo realize she hasn't forgotten everything. He manages to calm them down and they continue moving forward. Soon, they find a way upward. Romeo climbs ahead and opens a door, discovering a few people hiding inside. One of them, Matthew, panics, but the team quickly shuts him down at gunpoint. As they demand answers, another man named Caesar refuses to let anyone speak. Under pressure, Matthew finally breaks and reveals the truth. This facility is a scientific lab where they experiment with human and animal DNA to create new species. However, things went terribly wrong when one of their experiments lost control. The subject went berserk, unleashing chaos as other test subjects escaped and started killing everything in sight. Just then, Eve steps into the room. Seeing her, Matthew and Caesar immediately try to kill her, but Romeo stops them. Matthew then reveals the shocking truth. Eve is the experiment that got out of control, the cause of all the destruction. Caesar warns that if they don't kill her now, she will kill them all. But Romeo refuses to believe it and won't let anyone harm her. Soon, they hear a distant scream. Following the voice, they come across a soldier who suddenly starts shooting at them. Romeo notices that the soldier seems to be under the control of the man standing beside him. Determined to free him from hypnosis, Romeo rushes forward, but the soldier warns him to stay back or he'll shoot. Ignoring the warning, Romeo tries to save him, but the man controlling the soldier turns his power on Romeo instead. Just as Romeo is about to fall under his control, 4-Pack shoots the man, snapping Romeo out of it. Shocked, Romeo demands answers from Caesar. Caesar explains that the facility wasn't just experimenting on genetics, they were also conducting psychological tests to create soldiers who could control minds. This was meant to be a military weapon to minimize bloodshed in war. But everything fell apart when Eve escaped. He also reveals that Eve doesn't even know the full extent of her powers, making her even more dangerous. Hearing this, Eve becomes furious. In her rage, she grabs an explosive from 4-Pack and threatens to kill Caesar. Before she can act, Wiki knocks her out from behind. As they continue, disgusted by the experiments, Romeo orders Caesar and his team to go their own way, warning that he'll kill them if they try to follow. When Eve regains consciousness, she unknowingly begins controlling Wiki's mind. Suddenly, Wiki starts hearing strange noises. She asks her team if they hear it, but they deny hearing anything. Then, She spots a dog at the end of the tunnel and points it out, but the others don't see anything. Confused and frustrated, Wiki fires at the dog, but it remains unharmed. The dog then charges at her, and she fights back desperately. In reality, she is battling an illusion created by Eve. In the struggle, she accidentally kills herself. The gunfire and chaos alert the soldiers above, who immediately detonate an explosion, creating a barrier between Eve and the others. Eve escapes while the soldiers chase Four-Pack and Romeo, shooting at them. Meanwhile, Caesar reaches the control room and watches Four-Pack and Romeo running for their lives. He begins locking all possible escape routes, trapping them inside. As they evade the soldiers, Caesar releases a poisonous gas to kill them. However, they manage to find an opening and escape just in time. At the same time, Caesar leads Eve into a room where Matthew is waiting. Desperate for answers, she demands that he tell her everything about her past. Matthew is terrified of Eve, but cautiously tells her the truth. He explains that her body was found by a group of scientists who brought her to the facility. They transferred her mind into another body and performed several experiments to bring her back to life. Since all the experiments were successful, Caesar considered her the most dangerous of all the subjects. Still unable to remember anything, Eve is in disbelief. To prove it, Matthew shows her a video from the experiment. In the footage, Eve is seen talking to someone before suddenly trying to stab them with a pencil to escape. She realizes that the person she attacked was Matthew and senses danger. Before she can react, Matthew attacks her from behind, but she dodges just in time. A brutal struggle breaks out between them. Matthew gains the upper hand and grabs a surgical tool to kill her. Eve holds a weapon against him, but suddenly stops as her eyes turn pitch black. As if realizing something, she throws the weapon away. With a sinister look, she uses her powers to take control of Matthew's mind, forcing him to kill himself with the same weapon. Caesar, watching everything from the control room, realizes Eve has fully awakened to her abilities, and it terrifies him. Meanwhile, Romeo and Four-Pack crawl through a narrow duct, searching for an exit. After much effort, Romeo finds an opening, but standing there, waiting for them, is Eve, her expression cold and menacing. She immediately takes control of Four-Pack's mind, making him believe the duct is heating up. He starts hallucinating that he's burning alive. Romeo begs Eve to stop and desperately tries to snap Four-Pack out of it, but she is too strong. Unable to bear the pain, Four-Pack succumbs to the illusion and dies. Helpless and enraged, Romeo escapes the duct and points a gun at Eve. She feigns innocence, pretending she doesn't know what happened. When Romeo refuses to believe her, she begins manipulating him too, flooding his mind with memories of his wife. Romeo's face contorts in pain, his nose starts bleeding, and he falls deeper into her control. Before Eve can completely take over, Caesar arrives. A heated argument ensues, and Caesar drops a shocking revelation. Eve was never Romeo's wife. She used her powers to plant false memories in his mind, making him believe in a love that never existed. He pleads with Romeo to see the truth. Before Caesar can say more, Eve ruthlessly shoots his assistant and then uses her powers to kill Caesar as well. Romeo backs away, horrified, as Eve admits she was always jealous of the love he shared with his wife. She tries to break him further, but Romeo plays along, pretending to fall for her manipulation. At the last moment, he secretly removes the lid from an explosive. A massive blast erupts, consuming everything in its path, including Romeo. The scene shifts to Eve's brain, revealing the truth behind her existence. During surgery, the scientists didn't just swap minds. They implanted the brain of an alien-like creature into Eve's body. That's how she was resurrected, gifted with unnatural powers. A while later, Eve wakes up in the tunnel, confused and nauseated, just like at the beginning. She looks around, sees the dead bodies, and feels sick. With no memory of what just happened, she stumbles forward until she reaches a staircase leading outside. As soon as she steps out, a massive explosion destroys the entire facility. But Eve remains unscathed. She lifts her head, revealing her pitch-black eyes, now free to roam the earth. With that, the movie ends. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.